Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session on interview skills and personal branding. I'll be your moderator, Katile Mutuku, the founder of Youth Barrier Breakers Africa. I think we will give 3 minutes for people to join, and then we'll start our session exactly at 6:05. So we'll start our session at exactly 6:05. Welcome all who are joining. We are giving time for others to join, and then our session will start at 6:05. Yeah, if you have someone who was in the session yesterday, just kindly tell them to use the link they used yesterday to join the group. We are beginning our session in 1 minute's time.
Solitary creature, it doesn't want to be found.
So welcome to today's session. I'm Katile Mutuku, the founder of Youth Barrier Breakers Africa. I'll be the moderator of today. The topic of the day is career guidance. We are in day 2 of career guidance, and we'll be tackling 2 topics: interview skills or interview guide. In short, what are you expected when you are having an interview? And we'll have a session on personal branding, how to make your brand, how to make your brand online, how to make your brand when you are presenting yourself to other people, how to make your brand when you're in CVs, in interviews, everything about personal branding. We'll have it today. So our speakers will be Diana N. Gitonga, who is HR manager and from the Protect company, is also a certified professional mediator and is a mentor and motivational speaker. And our second speaker will be Walemba Jairas, who is the founder of JCVs and Vintage HR Solution. HR is human resource, and is also a career and leadership coach, and is a CV specialist. He's also a recruiter, And finally is a mentor and consultant in human resource. So I hope that the introduction is fine and we don't want the session to take long. So we'll start the session with Diana. I don't know if Diana is present.
Yes, Katile, I'm present. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I don't know if Jay is present. Okay, maybe we'll be joining us late. So welcome Diana Gitoga for the session on interview skills.
Thank you so much, Katile, for this opportunity. I am so delighted
Diana,
yes?
would you mind using your video because we can't see you?
Okay, I thought I would just do it because I am planning to do a presentation.
It's okay.
Yeah, so if you can allow me to share my screen.
You can share.
Yes, I can, thank you. Just a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for having me today in regards to tackling the topic of interview skills. As Katile has introduced me, my name is Diana Kirote Gitonga. I'm the Human Resource Manager at Professional Technologies. We are a cybersecurity company based in Upper Hill, and I deal with very young, vibrant, and excited engineers. And I love my team. And as you can see, I've also included my telephone number just in case you need any clarification or any guidance after this training. So let's move forward. Katila, how many are we? Kindly, if you can tell me how many participants we have.
We are 30 now.
Okay, great. So jumping right into the agenda of today's topic in terms of interview skills, I will be handling the following line of items. So we'll be looking at when do you start looking for a job, how to get an interview call, types of interviews, how to do well in interviews, handling rejection, salary negotiations, and selecting the right job. I am going to handle this topic in a very interesting way. From the agenda, I am going to include students who are currently ongoing and entry-level potential employees. And that is why for me, I have started by how do you start looking, when do you start looking for a job? So my presentation will be an end-to-end presentation from the time you start looking for a job until you're selected. So when do you start looking for an opportunity and how to prepare for it? Most of this, when I would say this, when you start pursuing your higher diploma, your diplomas, and when you join campus, it is the beginning of actually looking for a job, I would say that. So we are going to, I have stated a few items here, which is being aware. Are you aware of where you are? How is your surrounding? Are you aware of things that have been provided to you in terms of career fairs? I know we have career fairs in our universities. How are you engaged in such functions? Are you part of the participants, or you're just a bystander who looks at things happening? How do we connect? How do you connect to your lecturers? Are you someone who approaches them? Do you have a relationship with your lecturers? Do you have a relationship with your alumni association? Are you registered? This is how you're able to get connections to your next job as a student. You need to take advantage of this and be very vibrant and eager to present yourself to opportunities. How do we ask in terms of students? Here I'm talking to students. So in terms of asking, how do you relate to your fellow students? Do you talk to people who've already gone before you, who are a year ahead of you? Do you talk to them when they graduate? Do you ask them, did you get a job? How was it? How was the interview? You need to ask around. You need to know what is happening around you. And this is how you get information. How do students participate in this? I would say by attending college events, by doing certifications that are available in your school. I would say for students, you need to try, never fail, never stop trying, as this is how you build your skills and competency. How about interns? When you're an intern, it means that you've already gotten a job, you've already gotten an opportunity to interact with actual work in terms of building your career. So already you have a platform where you understand an organization's culture, and you're able to understand the functions of the place you're working for. How do you connect with the people around you? This is by always, you need to be very friendly to people you've in your department. You need to show interest. You need to show that you're passionate about getting a job in the organization. You need to be very respectful. You need to be very inquisitive. These are the things we look for when you're an intern. How about asking? As an intern, we believe that you're a student. You're still a student, and people understand that you can ask any question and they're ready to answer. So don't feel ashamed or you're very fearful, because you get students who are very fearful that they don't even ask. They just mess up things. They don't wake up in the morning, come to work, and they just look at you like, okay, what's the next move? We want someone who is eager to learn. Come in the morning, ask your line manager, what do you have for me today? Or I learned this yesterday. I think this was a challenge. How can I go about it? Learn to ask. How do interns participate in this in regards to finding a job? I would say that you need to participate in projects that are ongoing in your department or in your company. You need to show some leadership skills, or you push on ideas. This is how you get noticed. This is how we remember that we had an intern for a possibility, for an employment possibility. What about the experienced people? How do you start looking for a job if you do not have? I would say for experienced people, it becomes a different conversation, as here we look at two things: growth and money. Those are two things that experienced people have in mind. Am I at a position where I would ask myself, is it the right time for me to jump? This means I want to move to a higher level. I have just been an employee. I want to move to be a line manager. I have been a line manager. I want to be a manager in a department. The next question will be, is it the right opportunity to help me grow? So these are opportunities that challenge you, that motivate you to be a better person, do certifications, may probably go for your master's. Is this an opportunity that you see is creating such openings for you? The other question will be, do I have the right skill for the position that I am looking for? So for experienced people, these are the things they will be asking for in regards to growth, so that at the same time you're looking for a job, you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for a job that impacts you in a different way. When you're looking for money, then this is where you're thinking about, probably you've gotten into marriage, you've gotten children, and for you now, you've established your skills, you've established your knowledge, and now you're looking for the financial stability of any level, at any level of your life that you have reached. My next slide goes to looking at how do we get an interview call. You've already identified that this is the career I want to pursue as a student. You've already applied for attachments and internships and you've gotten that opportunity, and now you've graduated and now you're looking for an opportunity for just an interview call, not even just to get a job, but to start sharpening your interview skills. One, I would say you need to be very simple. What does being simple mean? You need to be very informative, just as we had a training yesterday on CV writing and cover letter. They really stated everything well. And in summary, I would say you be very informative, no funny fonts in your CV, colors, or any irrelevant spacing on your resume. In terms of content, you need to write your names correctly, your telephone number, and your addresses. As a HR and as an interviewer, I've had instances where potential employees send us telephone numbers that do not work. So it means you wrote your CV at a hurry and you missed a number. So at the end of the day, you are looking for an interview call, but it never went through. When you're looking at the content, also we are looking at your experience, your knowledge, your skills, and how compatible you are with a job that you're applying for. So these are things that we look for in regards to just giving you that call to know you better. In terms of length, yesterday we were told how long and short it should be. I would say for me, it's not supposed to be very short or very long. You need to be very specific. Use bullet points and do not repeat yourself. Whatever you've indicated in your cover letter should not be repeated in your resume. In terms of resume format, that was well expounded yesterday, but I will just mention two things. When it comes to recent graduates, for me, what stands out for a graduate is the education. So education becomes the first line item that employers actually look for, because we want to see, does your study match up to the job opportunity that we have? From there, that's when you follow up with your experience, and the awards come later. When it's an experienced employee, experience becomes our first interest, so that we see the roles and responsibilities they played. The awards, that means the achievements they made in their previous place of work, and then education comes later on. How to apply for relevant job openings. Yesterday, we also went through this. I'll just run through them. And these are platforms, the social media platforms. And here we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we even have job openings that are posted on WhatsApp groups. So you need to be very aggressive in such social media for you to be able to see the job opportunities that are currently advertised. We have company portals like company portals where they post their vacancies. We have the career selection bar at the top of every career portal, and they have a maximum number of applicants they need. So when you hear an advertisement going and saying closing by 30th, probably even by 25th, they have already attained the 200 candidates they had. So do not be a last minute person. In terms of referrals, here we look at two possibilities, where one, you have been referred by a current employee of the organization, so that is internal referral, and external is where someone from the outside has referred a candidate to a company. How about job boards? This was also mentioned yesterday, where we had Glassdoor, Brighter Monday, Career Point, etc. We have so many nowadays, and this is why you need to create your profile. You need to be very simple and very informative, so that an employer just reads through and identifies the skills and knowledge that is relevant to the position they're looking to fill. So what are the different types of interviews? Here we are looking at technical interviews. This is actually one of the general interviews we have for almost all candidates. For the fundamental, this one will fall under the students. And here we want to know, what projects did you handle? What research did you do and in your bachelor's? How was it? How was the experience? What challenges did you face? How did you overcome the challenges? What lessons did you learn? And what was your greatest achievement during that time? So that is where those questions will fall under technical interviews. For the experienced people, it becomes a bit intentional, because here we want to see how your roles and responsibilities match up to the job we want you to fill, and also your achievements in your previous work. So in terms of experience, in technical interviews, here you will probably most likely engage with line managers and managers of the departmental managers. As for them, their interest is on skills and knowledge. So most likely the first interviews you will meet are line managers and managers. As for them, the most interested part is looking for someone who is ready to fill the position, ready to work, ready to hit the road running. When you're looking at HR interviews, here the HR are looking for confidence. How confident are you from the time you open that door and walk in? How do you carry yourself? How do you interact with the people in the room? Here you will find probably a panel of 2, 3, or even one person going to interview. How do you react? How do you interact with them in terms of greetings? Do you shake their hands? Do you just say good morning? So these are the things we look at. How positive are you? As a HR, we would be looking at how do you handle questions in a positive way? Or are you someone who will just want to burn bridges? Self-belief, belief. Are you someone who believes in yourself? Even if you had lost your job, how are you bouncing back in different situations? So this is something HR professionals look at. And for me, I have included wisdom. Wisdom meaning when you're doing an interview, we want to see how wise you are in terms of cooling down and thinking through questions. When you're asked a question, how do you process your thoughts? How do you answer? How quick are you to answer questions that's like that without thinking? So that's it for that slide. What about stress interviews? Stress interviews here most likely are always very intentional, because we want to see how you react to questions that make you uncomfortable. Specifically for different jobs, we preempt that you're going to handle such stressful questions from clients, from your managers, your CEOs. So we want to see how will you react to them. So first of all, do not panic. You need to know how to compose yourself in such situation. Think before you speak. How do you compose yourself during an interview? How do you think about the question and answer it? Think before you speak. Then practice. When you're going for an interview, have you practiced, or you just woke up and say, mi niko tu sawa, I will handle this, I will hack this? This will definitely be seen in an interview. If you've not practiced or if you've not prepared, it is evident that you did not. We usually see these things. And again, I will stress wisdom. Be very wise in how you handle an interview. If you do not know, you do not know. If you know, you know. So you need to be very wise in how you handle yourself during an interview. How to do well in interviews. I summarized this in three lines. One is appearance. When you're looking at appearance, how do you look? And appearance in summary means being smart. When you're being smart means being simple and you have a pleasant smile. It says a lot about you. How about an ideal candidate? Who is an ideal candidate? This is someone who is knowledgeable about, who has knowledge in the position that we are looking to fill. It means you have gone through an education that has equipped you with knowledge in regards to the roles and responsibilities you're looking to fill. Someone who is very passionate, someone who is self-driven, someone who is challenge-minded. So that is an ideal candidate for me, someone who is a team player and someone who is dependable. So those are the things that we look for, and then we say, I think this is an ideal candidate for us. What about the answers we are looking for? The answers that you're looking for in an interview should not be very short, nor should they be very long. We have candidates who are asked a question and they talk and talk and talk and talk, and you just wonder, did I ask a question or did I ask for a composition? And there are those candidates who will just give you a one answer to a question. So your answer should just be well thought of and straight to the point, but not too short, neither too long. How to handle rejection. This is something I felt it is very important in today's age, as I'm very passionate about mental health and stress, and this is something that people are never taken through, but for me, I wanted this to be in my presentation. Every job you apply for, it is not a guarantee that you will get it. And especially for people who are coming into the industry, the students, how do you handle rejection? When you've applied for 1,000 jobs, probably you've gone for 20 interviews and no one has given you that opportunity. How do you handle rejection? I summarized this in three. So one is the reason. We always go back home and asking ourselves, why was I not asked? Why was I not chosen for this position? So you're looking for the reason why you are not the preferred candidate. And my thinking will go back to when you entered that organization, probably you met 5 other candidates looking for the job. Did you converse with them? Did you ask them? Did you ask for their telephone number just to interact with them after the interview and ask and say, why you chosen? This is how you get reasons as to why you are not chosen. So interact with people who've gone for the same job and try to find out, have you been applying for other jobs? Have you heard of any openings of the same position? How do you prepare? So rejection can also mean that you did not prepare well. So that's what you are not selected, meaning your answers were probably correct, but you didn't put them in the right manner or in the right way. And also practice, you didn't practice through the roles and responsibilities they were looking for. So when you're looking at a job advertisement, what roles have they stated? What duties have they stated? Those are the things you will be focusing your answer to, so that at the end of the day, they are marking and saying, yes, this one is right. This is the kind of a person I want. This is the ideal candidate. So what to do after a selection? So after a selection, meaning you have already passed the interview and you've been told, you're an ideal candidate for us, but now we are going into the salary negotiation. So this is where you're going to be negotiating your offer. So one, I would say you really need to value yourself. And this means looking at your knowledge, your skills, your experience, the type of employment opportunities you've had before. But this, you should also put in mind that you should not quote too low or neither too high. And for the reason for you need to know the reason for your demand, because every employer will ask, why should we pay you such an amount? So you need to have a reason for your demand, meaning you need to be asking around. Ask the people, for example, if it's Safaricom, ask employees in Safaricom, what do you think this person earns? How is the organization paying? So that when you interact with employers in that organization, you have an idea of the salary range. You also need to Google. Google is our friend nowadays. Just Google salary for this person. They will give you a range. So learn to give salary ranges and not a specific salary of 100,000. You need to learn how to give a salary range. What to do in case of multiple offers? Here we are talking about experienced people who have, most of us find when you're applying for a job, you might get 2 offers or 3 offers at the same time. For me, I would look at it in 4 ways. One, you look at the position. Does the position is the position really relevant to you? Does it speak to what you want to achieve in future? Is it a position that gives you a leadership opportunity? What about growth? Has it given you an uplift in terms of, has it given you a line manager's position, a management, a head of department? So growth, are you looking for growth? Has it given you an opportunity to grow in your career? What about the work environment? This is very important. Before you say yes to that job, have you assessed, have you talked to employees there and found out what are their challenges? What is their culture? What do they believe in? What is their vision and mission? Do you want to be part of it? Or are you moving from a good environment to a worse environment? How do we look at future scope? Future scope is in terms of, does the vision of the company match up to your vision? Is it going to drive your ambition and your passion? Is it something that is going to give you an opportunity for promotion? These are things we need to look for when you're looking at multiple offers, so that at the end of the day, you say, yes, I made a wise decision. How to answer basic questions. And one, I will do this in two ways. One, we will look at how to answer questions. These are freshers, meaning you're in college or just out of college and you've graduated. So here we will be looking at, tell me about yourself. These are questions that will be put forth to you in an interview. Tell me about yourself. What do you consider to be your strength? Can you tell us about your weaknesses? Why are you leaving your current job? Why should we hire you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Have you ever been forced to resign, or you just left the company? What do you like the least about your current job? How would your boss describe you? So tell me about yourself question. These statements will guide your response to the question. For those who are taking notes, you need to talk about who you are professionally. So for example, I will say, I am a human resource profession. So you need to expound on that, highlight your competency. For example, I have 4 or 5 years in my profession. Talk about why you are here. I am looking for a challenge. I am looking for an opportunity to grow. What do you consider to be your strength? Well, to answer this question effectively, you will have to follow these steps. One, you need to assess your hard skills. For example, your hard skills are, I am patient, I am patient, I am a good listener. So those are your hard skills. So when you're told what are your strengths, we want someone who will tell us, you assess your hard skills, your transferable skills, and your personal trait. For example, my strength is my patience to solve problems. My current position as a customer service manager, I was patient, that is personal trait, enough to turn a toxic environment to a positive one. I also feel that my communication skill, that means a transferable skill at top level, because I relate with senior executives on the same basis that I relate with junior staff members. That's an example of how you need to answer such a question. The third question will be, can you tell us about your weakness? This is a question that many interviewees find themselves not knowing how to answer, because it puts you in a very compromising situation where you need to be vulnerable. I would say one, you need to be self-aware. This means you know yourself. So to answer this question well, you have to be self-aware to recognize your real weakness. Be careful when choosing a weakness so that it does not affect you getting the job. So one, you need to be self-aware, you need to be truthful, and you need to have a conclusion that is self-improved. Meaning, for example, if I was to answer this, I would say, I am really impatient. One, that is self-awareness, that you're impatient working in a team. I love to work independently, and so it is difficult for me to rely on others to complete a task. That is why I have pursued a position that makes it possible for me to work independently. So you're being truthful. So for example, this is, I will say, an IT person who's an introvert, who doesn't like to be on the front row where you know you're leading people. So you're being very truthful to your employer. However, I have also worked to improve this weakness by enrolling in team building workshops. While I work independently, it is important I learn how to trust my coworkers better. So you've already given me a solution, that your self-improvement, that is a recovery. So you're already working on your weakness. Tumezoea watu wakisema I am a perfectionist, so being a perfectionist, you rub people off. That's a cliche. just be truthful. Put your answers in a way the employer can relate with you. Why are you leaving your current job? That's a question, especially when you have gaps in your when you're currently employed and you're looking for another job. I, as an employer, would ask you, why are you currently leaving your job? I want to know. And here we want to have answers like, I desire to improve my work-life balance. For example, the current place of work is really, really demanding of you, and probably you've started a family. And so you want an environment where it is more flexible, it is more, it allows you to balance life and work. You wish to learn, for example, if you're going to school, you yearn to take more responsibilities, your desire for career change, which is acceptable. Many of us are not practicing what they studied in school. So you definitely change careers because you organizations because of change of career. I'm no longer interested in the company's vision and goals. So you're moving to an organization that is speaking to your heart, or probably your desire for a shorter commute to work. So probably you've been commuting for long hours to go to work, and now you feel like it's becoming too much and you want a job that is next to you. The next question will be, why should we hire you? Since every hire is a risk to the recruiter, then you should be ready to prove to the recruiter that, 1, you can perform the task excellently. 2, you will perfectly fit into the position and be a great addition to the team. Definitely hiring you will add a great deal of value to the company. And so for fresh graduates, I will give you an example to this question. Why should I hire you? And for fresh graduates, your response should probably look like this. I am very driven and open-minded person that can really learn fast. During my volunteer with a local retail outlet, I discovered how much I enjoy solving customers' problems and rendering service in general. I think this position will support my interest and will also give me the opportunity to contribute positively to the organization, and I'm very excited about this opportunity. So as a fresher, this is how you handle such a question, because 1, you accept that you don't have experience, but you also have an opportunity to mention the attachment and the internships you've had, and what you learned, and why you're here. Probably you just want to get an opportunity to grow. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a question that is very challenging. And at the same time, I would say many employers do not want to hear what you have to say. But at the end of the day, the employer wants to know how long you plan to stay in the company and how long you want to stay in the position. So when you're answering this question, I would say you need to answer it as an opportunity where you express your interest for promotion and your interest to grow the business, or 1, you want to learn and probably your aspirations about owning your own company in a few years. Or probably you can answer and say, I don't know at the moment. So you're being honest, and you're just like, I just want a job about 5 years from now. I don't know, but probably I would want to finish my master's or my PhD, something like that. Have you ever been forced to resign, and why are you leaving, or why are you leaving your work? This is a very tricky question, because at the end of the day, remember, as human resource professionals, we are mandated to do background checks to find out what kind of an employee am I bringing on board? How did they interact with their previous company? Did they have a disciplinary case for them to leave the company? Were they fired? Did they just resign? So when you're handling this question, you need to be very truthful about the reasons why. And for example, if you left your job for a good reason, if you were fired or you left voluntarily, did you leave on agreed or good terms? We find out that there are people who leave the company even without giving a 1-month notice. So it means this is someone who is very selfish and does not live according to the policies and procedures of a company. And what are your values and successes? So that is something we want to find out when you're asking this question. So for example, I will give an example of an answer. I was forced to resign because our biggest clients were leaving the market, and so my company was forced to dissolve some position, and unfortunately my position happened to be one of the newest positions that were created in the department at that time, and it was dissolved. I am extremely happy about my stay in my previous employment because I did learn a lot that will help me propel my career to the next level. If you are terminated because of performance issues, that's something you need to be very careful to highlight, because at the end of the day, those are also things we will find out. So probably you say, yes, my previous boss left and I got a new line manager or a boss, and his expectations did not, I did not meet his expectations, meaning I did not perform, and that led to my resignation. But I know this opportunity will give me an opportunity to excel in my skills and knowledge. So the next question will be, what do you like the least about your current job? So we are trying to see, are you running away from a problem? Are you, is there something that is not working for you in your previous employment? That's why you're looking for a job. And when you're answering this question, you need to be very careful not to go on the negatives, but you should rather use the question as an opportunity to tell the interviewer how the job matches your skills and personality. How would your boss describe you? This is a question that is looking at both your strengths and your weaknesses. And for example, I would say my last boss would see me as a problem solver. And when I newly started my past position, I was always ready to face challenges and solve problems with ease. I think that my ability to be calm when there is a difficult situation is what really distinguished me from other employees. So these are some of the questions entry-level interviewees will be asked. And Katile, I know this is a very broad topic, and I think probably you could give me an opportunity next time to handle the experienced questions. Because of time, I can see time is not on our side, but I would just want to highlight for the experienced candidates, these are the questions that will definitely be asked, and they're in different categories. We have the behavioral interview questions, and this one we want to see how you behave in different situations. I'll just give a summary on all. How to answer panel interview questions, and here we want to see how you interact with your environment. Before you answer the question, you should focus on very key aspects. I will just give a summary in terms of this, something I usually do when I'm doing an interview called SMART. If you can write it down, STAR, that is STAR. So S stands for situation. You need to state a situation that you are in. The task, meaning the task that you are given. The actions, what did you do? The actions that you took, you did. And the results, what were the results of the actions you had? The next one will be competency-based interview questions, and this is where we want to see your capabilities, your skills, and your knowledge for the job. We have the brain teasers, for example. I would pose a brain teaser to you during an interview and say, Stacy's mother had 4 children. One was May, June, July. What was the name of the 4th child? And quickly you would say, you will give a month, not remembering that I said Tracy. So Tracy was not among the name of the children. So that's just a brain teaser, and we just want to see, do you think, or you just speak for the sake of speaking? How to answer traditional interview questions. These are just questions that help us understand who you are and how you interact with your environment. We have experience-based interview questions, for example, in terms of leading a project, in terms of leading a team to handle a challenge in the company. How to answer opinion-based interview questions. We have how to answer trap interview questions. And this is, for example, if you had a bad boss, how would you handle them? If you had an employee who did not get along with you, how would you handle them? Then definitely we have the last question of how to handle salary interviews. This one I would want to explain a bit. So for the salary interview questions, it is very important, as you've already gotten a call, you've already discussed about your roles and responsibilities, and this is the only thing that is going to hinder you from getting a job. No, I will say one, your answers should be very wise and always give a range and always leave room for negotiability. Always say, I would want between this range and this range, and I'm open for negotiation. So never give a one figure. It shows how closed you are and you're not open for communication. At the end of the day, you need to understand that every interview, every position, the HR has a budget. The company has already identified the salary they want to give to that person. So if you're too high, it means you're not an eligible candidate, because at the end of the day, it will become a frustration and a strain to the company. If you quote too low, then it means probably you're just looking for a job to survive, or you do not believe in yourself. So I would say you need to be very wise when it comes to salary negotiation. And it is very important to leave an opportunity to negotiate. So that was the end of my presentation, and I welcome questions. Thank you, Katile.
Hello. If you have a question, you can raise your hand or use the chat box. So Joy Kiyua, you can ask your question, and kindly use your video.
Okay. So
Joy.
Okay. Sorry, I have two questions. Thank you for the presentation, Diana. So I have two questions. I went to 2 interviews and I was asked to tell about myself, and I answered professionally, but then it was a panel of 3. They told me I haven't answered the question, who am I beyond my profession? Then 5 months down the line, I went for another interview. I was asked to tell them about myself. I spoke about myself professionally. They said I haven't answered the question well. I should rephrase it. And tell them who I am beyond myself professionally. And the other question is, I went for another interview, and the managing director looked at my curriculum vitae. Had passed all the 4 stages. I was remaining in the 5th stage. So he looked at my resume. So he told me to have a seat. Then he asked me if I have finished CPA, and he said nothing else. And I didn't hear from him again. Then he told me you can leave. So what do you think he was looking for? Thank you.
Katile, can I take that before I answer any more?
Yes.
Okay. Joy, thank you for your question. I would say one about who are you beyond your career? I would say HR or people who are looking at your CV are different people, and you don't expect them to see you the way you would see yourself. I would say people look at CVs differently depending on who they are, what their age is, and what their experience is all about. So one, I would say when they were asking you about who are you beyond your career, when you're asked about that, one, I would say it's either they were looking for your passion or your skills. When you're doing an interview, Nowadays, we say we are hiring for passion and training for skills. And that is what I usually do. I want someone who is self-driven, someone who understands that I will wake up no matter what and face a challenge. So I think here they were looking at your passion, because most people are always like, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. I went to university for 4 years. What was I learning? You see, so your skill and knowledge based, but what is your passion? What else drives you apart from what you learned in school or what you've been you base your career on? So probably you would find something that drives you. For example, you've done finance. I would say for you, your passion probably is just calculating, working with numbers. That is something that wakes you up in the morning. In terms of the person who asked you about CPA, interviews are very interesting. There's that one person who will always say, I want a candidate who can do this specifically, however much experienced they are. There's someone who will just say, kama hajafanya CPA K, mimi siwezi mpatia kazi. And that is who they are, and that is what they believe in. And you can, so the person interviewing you and the person handling your CV at the moment. So that should not put you off because someone just asked you, do you have a CPA? That's them, that's not you. And that gives you the drive. Actually, if someone puts that out to me and say, you've not done this, that is what I will go and do and prove them wrong. And as I still motivate myself to pursue better things, I know that one day God will open the door for me.
Thank you, Diana, for such insight. I hope the person who asked is answered. So I can see to answer Abdirahman Mohammed. You can kindly unmute and ask the question.
Thank you very much, and good evening all. I have one quick question. Whenever there is an interview going on, some people get shaky and panic. How can we, minimize that kind of panic? And what do you advise from your, experience-wise? For me, as a HR, generalist, I saw so many people, and I conducted so many interviews, and it's something that comes to my mind all the time on how to solve that kind of anxiety. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdi. That's a very good question. And I'll answer it by saying, and I'll give an example of what I do. When all of us have been once an interviewee, and we know how that environment is. From the moment you knock at the door to the receptionist telling you have a seat and wait, to the time you're called into the boardroom, you see 5 or 1 person, and you at the back of your mind, you're thinking, will they ask me a question I won't answer? At this, you're thinking, you've seen 5 more people waiting for the same interview. I had a candidate who sat down, did not even know where to place the bag, they were not coming out. And I told him, sit down, cool down, breathe in. This is your time. There's no hurry. The interview was planned, the time was set, the day was set, and we were prepared for you. You're the most important person at that time. So first of all, you need to feel yourself that they're there for you. You need to compose, learn to breathe in. They're also human beings, and they've also been there once. So they know what you're going through. So Abdi, I will say one, it is very human to say to the candidate, kindly settle, kindly take a breath, until you're okay, we can start the interview. It is very humane. It is very polite, and it shows that you care. Nowadays, we have learned as human resource to care more about the people who we socialize. And you never know, someone maybe has been traveling for a whole night to come for that interview. Probably someone has left their sick child in the house just to come for that interview to get that opportunity. Let's learn to accommodate, especially the freshers. Maybe it's their first interview they are doing, and for sure you will see the nerves on their faces. So it is just good to tell them kindly, or you have a glass of water or a bottle of water, tell them kindly, sip some water, then we can start the interview. Are you okay? Are you comfortable? Yes. Can we start? Yes. Abdi, are we okay?
Thank you. That's very helpful. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Diana Kari, you can ask your question.
Okay, good
Dina,
evening. Dina, good evening. My question is, I have attended several interviews. Some provide like a bottle of water. So when you get to the interview room, you get a bottle of water. You have not invited to take it. How should you handle that?
Okay. That's your one question. Okay, so I would add to this in terms of, yes, you will find a bottle of water. You will also, in some cases, find a pen and a book in front of you. And for me, I would to first interact with the team, then probably can ask, kindly, can I have the bottle of water? Can I sip some water? It is very humane, unless the person who is in the boardroom interviewing you has just put it to they're actually seeing if you're courteous, if you're polite, do you respect them? Because there are people who will just take the water. It's very polite to say, excuse me, can I have some water? Because it's already there and they know it is for you. That's why I'm saying there are people who have traveled the whole night. Maybe you've been in the traffic jam for so many hours and you just need that sip of water to calm you down. Feel free to express yourself. So, and just ask, it is okay. For me, I will take it as I put the water there for you to have it, but I want to see how will you ask for that water. Confidence, be confident. They don't know you. This is the first time they're seeing you and maybe the last. So ask politely, show respect, and just be natural. Yeah, and even where have feel free to use it. They know the reason why it is there. When you're faced with a difficult question and you think and you feel like you really need, like there are a panel of 5 people and everyone is asking you a question before you answer, that is where the notebook is there. Just don't say you're a superhuman, you'll remember the question. Take note, use the pen and paper that is there, it is for you. Any more questions?
Thank you, Diana. We have a question from Lillian, and we'll take 2 more questions, and then we'll move to the next speaker, and then we'll have questions after the whole presentation. So, Lillian. Okay, I can see Lillian is muted. Joy Kiyo. Okay, Cynthia Kamau, kindly unmute yourself and you can ask your question. Cynthia? Okay.
Hello?
Yes?
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. My microphone had a bit of an issue. This is Lillian.
Yes, Lillian.
Thank you, Diana, for the amazing presentation and, just taking some time out of your schedule to just give us a boost on this interview preparation. So my question is, you go for an interview and let's say for your previous role, you are on a contract and then the contract ended. So they ask you, why did you leave your previous role? How do you phrase that question? How do you phrase your answer that you were in a contract and it ended? Also, when you asked for your previous salary, how do you answer in terms of a range or do you give an exact figure?
Okay, Lillian, thank you for the question. One, this is in terms of the reason why you have left your previous employment. And as I have said, you need to be very honest because background checks are real nowadays. We don't want to employers or people who do not have good behavior. But as for your case, this is actually a very simple answer because at the end of the day, it is not you who caused the termination. It was a specific employment term. So for those who are joining the employment life, you can either have a contract, or you can have a full employment. Contract bases have a time frame. This means a contract can be 6 months or 1 year, which is renewable. So if it was an end of a contract, you just say it was a contract. And for human resource, we understand that probably it was just the time they needed you to be there. Then probably what you would want to know is from your previous employer, was it not renewed because you did not fulfill the roles and responsibilities as they expected? 2, was there no enough budget for you to have a renewal of contract? Or 3, they needed someone who is more expert than you to be given a permanent employment. That is for you to do your homework and get to know, when I'm moving to the next job, where did I fall with my previous employment? But for the person interviewing you, they want to know, yes, you had a contract, why did it end? Probably the organization did not have the finances to keep you there. But for a contract ending, that's very easy. But when you resign because of performance issues, because of disciplinary cases, that becomes very sensitive because it implicates on who you are as a person, your behavior, how you relate with other people, and how you deliver expectations from your bosses. In terms of the salary, I would say it's very important to give a range. For example, if you want to get an 80, you would say, I am looking for a salary of 80 to 150. Then it gives you a negotiable place where they can say, how about, can we negotiate? Yes. So you need to know where you need to land. So you need to be very wise and say, I'm looking at a salary that is about 70 to 120. So they're like, are you open for negotiation? Yes. Then they are saying, can I come to 100? And maybe that is where you wanted to land. But in terms of giving specific numbers, you can say, in regards to our company policies, we are not allowed to disclose such figures, but I will give you a range because this will be comfortable for me to work for you and deliver. The most important thing for me is to ensure that business continues and I also grow in my career.
Okay, so just like to gain clarity, if you're asked like what was your previous salary, you can just say due to company policy, it's not, how do I put this? Company policy does not allow
me to disclose.
Mm-hmm.
But I know according to the standards of the position I'm asking for, this is what my position will be given. You see, now you're giving an answer according to the standard of other companies. I believe, and you can even say with the standard of your company, I believe this is what you will be offering. So it's like you're putting back the question to them.
Yeah.
Yes. So you need to be wise.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Diana. Wow, I'm really learning. I hope everyone is learning. So we have one last question from those who have raised their hand. And we have 2 questions from the chat box, and 7:10 we go to the next speaker. So Paula Dagi.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks so much for having me. I have one question. It's a very common question where you are told, okay, ask us any question after the interview. You are given an to ask the panel any question. Maybe if I may ask, what are you supposed to ask? how are you supposed to, because there's something I asked and I think it's like I made a mistake.
What did
So
you ask,
what
if I may ask? What did you
I asked,
ask?
okay, basically about the job, about the, okay, I needed to know more about the JD. Then I was asked by the panel, no? How long
Yes.
did you take to prepare for this interview?
Okay, so your question to the panel was about the job description.
Yeah. Then they responded back, how long would you take to prepare for this interview?
For sure, they were right to ask that question because when you applied for that job, what did the job advertisement say? As I answered that question yesterday's presentation, I told people, when you're even sending an attachment as a cover letter or a resume, have you gone through the requirements that they asked for? Did they ask for a cover letter or did they ask for a resume supported by your academic papers? So what most candidates do, they rush through the job advert. They don't even understand the roles and responsibilities in the JD. And that is why you asked about the JD, which you are supposed to understand first before you come for the interview. The questions you needed to ask were, one, for me, I would ask, what other benefits do you give to your employees apart from salary? So that at the end of the day, you get to understand, do they have a pension scheme? Do they have a medical cover? Something that adds value to you away from work. You would ask, do you promote working, like now, working from home? Do you facilitate that? Do you have flexible working hours? The other question that is very important is, how do you ensure that your employees continue upskilling their skills and knowledge? Do you have training opportunities for us? Is it financed by the company or is it shared 50-50? Do you give sponsorship to furthering my education? Like, I'm interested in my master's. Do you have programs of supporting me in furthering my education? Something that adds value to you.
Thanks a lot for the insight. I know, I think the next interview, I'll have something to ask. Yeah.
You need to prepare well. You need to prepare, go through that job advert and see what kind of a person are they looking for. Do I meet those roles and responsibilities? And if there's a challenge there, you need to be very wise in how you will handle that question.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks, Katile.
Thank you, Diana.
Hello.
I'll just, yes? Okay, I'll just read the comments in the chat box because of time, and then the question will be answered later.
Hello.
So from Galaxy, very insightful indeed. Angela, thanks Diana, very helpful. Thanks for the information. Thanks Diana. I think we'll take one question from the chat box. From Sheila Onyalo, I attended an interview at HR intern where we were 3 candidates, after which they told me I was the best. Afterwards, I received an email from them that I wasn't successful. What could be the reason of them changing their decision about selecting me?
Should I answer that, Katile, now?
Yeah.
Also, in terms of passing the interview and later on having an email saying that you were not successful, I would think one is, first of all, you need to congratulate yourself that you passed. You need to take that to yourself and say, yes, you did it. When it comes to the final email in regards to them saying that you fell short, one, probably, there's always work politics and we have to be aware of it. Probably one of the managers said, I have someone. That's for sure, it happens, and we need to be able to realize this. The other thing is probably the budget fell short of what they had expected. Business happens. There's always, we make plans. We have always made plans. Like this year for me, I wanted to have interns. Unfortunately, Corona happened and we didn't have that opportunity. So it might have been things changing in the environment that probably didn't have an opportunity for you to come on board. So so one, congratulate yourself that you passed. You should congratulate yourself you passed, meaning you're very, very capable of getting that job. But because of things you are not aware of or you could not change, that's why you were told you could not make it. So unfortunately.
Thanks so much, Diana. I hope everyone has got information about interviews, and I'm really learning a lot. So because of time, we'll go to the next speaker, Mr. Walemba J, who will be speaking about personal branding. Welcome, Mr. Walemba. Jairus Walemba. Jairus is sharing his screen. I hope he'll join us. Yeah. As Jairus shares his presentation, if you have a question, you can use the chat box. We will answer the questions here. Jairus, we can't hear you. Jairus, we can't hear you. I think once Jairus is able to share, I think I can read one of the comments. Yeah, someone is asking about sharing the notes. I think we'll share the notes via your emails. By tomorrow morning, you will get the notes and the recording. In case you need the information about the recordings, you can check our Facebook page, that is Youth Barrier Breakers Africa. We have the session live there, so you get the information there. So Jairus, are you ready? We can't hear you. Jairus, we can't hear you. Okay, that was very. I think we will share the number in the recordings and presentation. Yeah, Samuel is saying good initiative. My evening is well spent. Thank you, Samuel. I think the rest of the comments are about questions. Diana will answer later. So Grace is saying, Cynthia Kamau, just be honest that you can't answer. Honesty is a virtue, almost checked interview. So you stand to be corrected by experts.
Hello.
So
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now hear you, Jairus.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, but with some echo.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Jairus, you are.
Yes, yes.
Sawa, thanks. Sorry for the inconvenience. I had to change from using the laptop to my phone. Huh? So it's unfortunate I won't be able to share the slides. Huh? Sawa. So basically, I'll start by introducing myself. Huh? My name's Awalemba J. I'm the CEO and founder of JCVs. At JCVs, we specialize in working with the job seekers through the job search. Through the job search, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Katile for what she's doing to job seekers and for giving me this opportunity to have a talk with you this evening. So I'll be discussing about personal branding, and we'll start by the definition of personal branding. Then we go to Katile. Can you mute those guys? So I'll start by defining what personal branding is. Personal branding is the intention. Personal branding is the conscious and intentional effort to create an. Katile, we have some background noise. Huh? Sorry, I'll start by defining what personal branding is. Personal branding basically is the consciousness and the conscious and the intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in the industry, elevating their credibility and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase their circle of influence, and have a larger impact. So that is the definition of personal branding. Then there's a difference between personal branding and a personal brand. A personal brand is basically a widely recognized and largely uniform perception of an individual based on their experience or area of expertise in an industry. You can be a brand, for example, you can be a brand in the HR sector, you can be a brand in the CV sector, you can be a brand in the accounting sector, you can be a brand in the marketing sector. So in every profession, you can create your own brand. A personal brand is different from the personal branding now. So we can talk about the importance of personal branding. The importance of personal branding, the first one it creates trust. When you have a personal brand, when you build your brand, you create trust with those people you are interacting with. You create trust with those people who seek your services. You also create trust with the public. The second one is you build connections. When you create a brand, you build connections because you'll have people coming for your brand. When you have people coming for your brand, people will definitely come for your brand because they have trust in you, and you'll build connections. Through the connections, you can get the referrals. Yeah, you can people can get you online. People can get referrals maybe from their friends. So through that, you build connections. When you've a brand and you've referred, you've had a candidate referring someone, a friend referring a friend to you, they'll all those you will be expanding your connections. Then another thing with personal branding, it builds credibility. It builds credibility with your clients and audience. Another thing is that when you build a personal brand, you gain confidence. Another thing about personal branding, it creates authenticity. When you build a personal brand, you create authenticity. So in terms of building tracks, in terms of inputting trust, my camera is not so clear, so I'm sorry for that. When you have a personal brand, it makes people feel comfortable while working, and it establishes trust with colleagues and friends. Then gaining confidence, it comes from positive qualities and strengths that you share publicly. When you have something you offer, your self-esteem soars. Your self-esteem soars high. When you're offering something and you know that it's authentic, your self-esteem definitely soars high. That's where the personal branding builds confidence. Then on connections, it helps build a personal connection in different fields and in your area of specialty. Then in building credibility, personal branding aids a person in establishing his name as a thought leader or an expert in area of specialty. Then we have how to develop a personal brand. We have skills on how to develop a personal brand. Developing a personal brand, you start with harnessing your personality. With harnessing your personality, that means that you believe you understand you are a unique creature. There's no one that is similar to you. So harnessing your personality will mean that you want to develop a brand from who you are. You are unique. You are a unique creature, and now you can create your brand based on that. You can create a brand that is different from your competitors. Another thing on the second step on how to develop a brand is to believe in yourself as a brand. For example, when you are, let's say you are selling services, maybe you are selling services, you are providing recruitment services. When you believe in yourself that you can do that, and you share your brand with your connections, definitely you first believe in yourself so that other people can believe in you. Then another thing, the third step will be knowing your strengths and weaknesses. When you know your strengths and weaknesses, it's easier to work on them. It is easier to work on your weaknesses to work on ending your weaknesses and develop your strengths more. Then the fourth step will be curating an online presence. Creating an online presence will mean that make your online presence felt. Post things that are related to what your brand is all about. The fifth step will be building a website for your brand. You don't necessarily have to get a paid website to build for your brand. You can start with we have the Google site. Google can build you a website. Then you have your clients find you through the website. The sixth one will provide value for every opportunity. The seventh one will never share without a purpose. Anytime you are sharing content about your brand, share it with purpose. Share it with the audiences that you share it with. You have to get a target audience, then understand, research about the audience. How will the audience perceive your message? How are you going to pass this message to read your intended audience? Will you do it through a video? Will you do it through just a post? Will you do it through Facebook? Will you do it through LinkedIn? Will you do it through Instagram? So when you are sharing, you have to choose the best media, and that will depend on the kind of audience that you are targeting. The fourth one, build relationship with other well-known brands. About number 8, building relationship with other well-known brands. That will mean that maybe as a recruiter or as a CV specialist, I'm working hand in hand with already established brands like Brighter Monday. We have Career Point, we have AMSOL, those companies. So when you work when you build relationship with them, you are able to learn from them, and you are also able to get clients through them. Another thing is reinvent yourself. When you make a mistake, don't let that mistake tie you down. Get up and forge ahead. Reinvent yourself. Get up and forge ahead. Then I think I've finalized about personal branding. We'll go to the next step. We'll be going to professional etiquette. Professional etiquette, I'll first talk about the dress code. Dress code, how you dress determines how you are going to be addressed. And especially when you're going for interviews, we have issues with how candidates dress. Some candidates will come dressed casually, and that speaks a volume about the person himself. So how you dress will determine how you're going to be addressed. From that will determine how you will be addressed from the gate to the interview room. So when you're going for an interview, you have to prepare. You have to do a research about the organizational culture. Have all the info about this organization at your fingertips. Know how this organization dress, how they dress. You can work on matching your shoes. You can even have a suit for you to use when you're going to attend interviews. Match it with your shoe so that that impression, you as much as you are prepared well for the interview, your dress code should also match with that. The second thing we are going to talk about is online branding. Online branding is something that most of us are failing to establish in terms when we are building our brands. We use the online media platforms for different purposes rather than building our brand. So, for example, about online branding, I'll talk about, for example, during this era, we've had issues to do with COVID. It has been a good opportunity for candidates. For example, those in the HR you can post something about how COVID has had effects on the workplace. Through that, when you post something that's relevant to your brand, you'll get more followers. When you build followers, that's how you build your brand. So when assuming you are an accountant in the accounting field, you talk about how you want to change the world. You can do an article about changing the world. Then you can also do an article about how you plan to do a project that will generate income. Through that, people will start getting attracted to what you are posting. That's how you build your brand. It's not necessarily that you have to pay for it to have people follow you, but people will follow you because of what you are writing, because of who you are now, because of the brand you are selling. Another thing is no one wants to know about your personal life. When you've gone and maybe you've had a weekend, you've spent a weekend drinking. No one wants to know about that. That can't be a brand. People really want to know about things that can change lives. People want to follow you because of what you have to offer. So if you have something to offer, and you should work on it, where post something that is relevant to your brand, definitely you'll have followers come up. Then portray a person people will want to associate with. Don't just post things that people will not want to associate with you. What you post will make people want to associate with you, or it will make people run away from you. So post things that are relevant to what people want. Post things that will make people want to associate with Jay. So about another thing is about your core values, your mission, and your vision. As an individual, when you are preparing for an interview, maybe you have to do research about the organization. When you're going for an interview, you have to align. You understand the core values of the company, understand the mission of the company, understand the vision of the company. Align your values to that of the company, so that even when you are in an interview, the core values of that company are in line with what they parallel with what you are going to bring on board. The interviewer will be pleased with that. So do enough research about the company, do enough research about the core values of the company, align it with what you are bringing on board. Another thing is public speaking. Public speaking will help you gain confidence in terms of when public speaking will help you gain confidence in terms of you can start small. Most of us are not confident with public speaking, but now when you do, for instance, during this period we have had the COVID, people have been I think I can say about we've had so much time that we've not been engaged. So you can organize for during this time, you can organize for a webinar, talk about something that interests you. I think getting an audience nowadays is the easiest thing you can do. You organize for a webinar, you post it through social media, and definitely if what you're going to talk about is something that interests the audience, then you'll definitely have an audience. Through that, you can grow your skills in public speaking. And another thing is that you might not have the opportunity maybe to host a webinar or to organize one, but during these webinars, you can plan as an individual to ask an intentional question. You want to ask a question that is related when there's a topic like what we're discussing now about personal branding. You do research about personal branding. Have yourself ask a question that is intentional and a question that will make everyone want to know about who you are. You ask a question, you might know the answer to the question, but now you are asking this question intentionally because you want to build that your brand. You want to be known. You want to be known for who you are. Then another thing is about public speaking. Also, you have to work on your audience. Create content that is related to your audience. Create content that is understandable. Understandable to the audience. Do research about the target audience. When you understand the target audience, create content that is relevant to what they want to hear. Create content that is that will will make them participate actively in the webinar. Then about online branding, no organization, should understand that no organization will hire you because of being desperate. Any organization will hire you because of what you're bringing on the table. I've had issues whereby on LinkedIn, a candidate will inbox you asking you for a job. They tell you about their problems. They tell you about, I lost a job, I lost my job, and this is what I've been going through. No organization wants to hire you because you are desperate. No organization wants to hire you because you have a family that is you need to feed. Any organization will hire you because there's something you are bringing on the table, and that is what matters. As much as you are networking online through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Glassdoor, through Instagram, you always should be ready. You always should be ready to give your audience what you are offering. Yeah. Tell them, I'm joining this organization to bring on ABC, this and this and this, because while I was at organization A, I did this and this. So always have the facts right. No one will hire you for being desperate. Get that right. About email etiquette. Email etiquette basically will mean before you do an email, understand the audience you are sending the email to. You might be sending the email to executives. You might be sending email to the HR person. How you send your email should be the email you send should portray how empathy in your email. Read it loud before you send this email. Read it loud. Understand that read it loud to understand, is it email correct to be forwarded to a job a recruiter? Is this email right for the intended purpose? Check on the email typos. Typos in emails will show that you are incompetent, and any recruiter might not consider you are having a look at your CV, basing on the fact that you have typos in your emails. It will also show that you are careless. You are not able to follow instructions before you share the email. Then when doing an email, we have you always remember to have the subject on. Remember to have the recipient. If you are supposed to CC, do the CC. Don't forward emails when you are sending emails. Then remember to have the email subject. The email subject should be as per the instructions, especially if it's a job application. Email subject should be as per the job instructions. Follow the instructions, and then we have the salutation. If you don't know the recipient of the email, you can do a dear sir or madam. If you know the recipient of the email, you can do sir, or you can say dear J. You can do the name. Then process people, because everyone processes information differently. Let your email be universal. Anyone reading it can understand it from either a recruiter's point of view or from a HR point of view. Then about networking will basically mean that you can do networking online. For example, I'll use my example. I'm in the HR industry. I think for me, I've really networked. What I've done is I attend webinars. When there are webinars, I attend. I ask questions during the presentation. After the presentations, you ask questions so that people can notice you. Another thing you can do is that if you are in the accounting industry or if you are in the HR industry, you are in the sales industry, I think almost every profession has they have their professional bodies or they have like for HR we have the IHRM, the CHRP board group. So during these professional bodies will hold meetings occasionally. When there are those meetings, purpose to attend the meetings. When you go for these meetings, have your business cards with you. If you have your brand, maybe you have a uniform for your brand. You can have it on so that people can notice you. People will be asking, "Oh, so this is Jay. We only see you online. I think it's good. I've seen you." Share your contacts with them, and always think about how you can be able to add value to someone's life without expecting anything in return. Always be able to share something with people without expecting something in return. And then be very intentional to ask questions during these forums, during one-on-one meetings, so that maybe you can be noticed. That is how you'll be able to market your brand. The moderators just told me that time is almost up. So I think I've also finalized from my side. I can welcome questions now. I'll be sharing the slides with the admin so that she can share with you through the emails.
Thanks, Jiras, for the wonderful presentation. I now welcome anyone who has questions. You can raise your hand. Anyone with a question on personal branding? Samuel? Anyone with a question on personal branding? You can use the chat box also, and I will read the questions. I just guessed the part on personal branding. It's well articulated and people have understood. I can see one hand. Can you see?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, I have a question. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah. Hello,
Go on.
Samuel.
Go on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hope you can hear me. There is something that Jairus has spoken about.
Yeah. I can't hear you.
There is something that Jairus has talked about.
Yeah. Katila, can you hear him?
You are muted. Can free unmute yourself. I think we'll go to the next question. From TechnoCX, how do you draft a proper email while still maintaining the etiquette talk about? How do you draft a proper email while still maintaining the etiquette talk?
Maybe I need to understand. Is it an email about a job application or?
TechnoCX, maybe you can elaborate. I just think it is a job application email. Yeah, job application.
A job application, I think he has elaborated. Basically, a job application email. In almost all adverts, we have instructions given on the application process, how to apply for this position, how to apply for the position. A good number of us, having been a recruiter for some time, there's a problem with a good number of us will not follow instructions. We've seen people doing forwards of the emails. We've seen people attaching CVs and certificates in as one document. That means that they are giving CV, they are submitting the certificates without being they have not been asked to, and they are submitting the certificates. So when a job applications ask for maybe you do send your CV and cover letter, what you do, you have to first at the subject of the email, have the position on the subject of the email. Make sure that you copy paste the email. Copy pasting the email really helps to avoid typos and to avoid sending the email to the wrong recipient. Then another thing, you make sure if the person, the recipient of the email is male, address him with sir. If it's a female, address him with madam. If the recipient of the email is a non, you can do hiring manager, or you can do both dear sir and or madam, stroke madam. Then make sure the subject of the email, make sure the body of the email, on the body of the email, you do the salutation. After the salutation, you talk about, you introduce yourself, you do a small introduction about the application. After the dear sir, madam, you can talk about hi, please kindly find attachments, the attached documents for the position of an accountant with the JCVs. Kind regards, Jairus Walemba. I think then you go to attachments, you attach. I think with this one, we can, in consultation with Diana, I think for me, I will prefer doing attachments in PDF. You do attachments in PDF, I will prefer that. Then you can now finally send your email. Am I clear?
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah. We have another question.
There's someone who is Niliacha. What's the importance of personal branding?
When personal branding, important personal branding is that with personal branding, you get to input trust in your audience. Basically, if you are selling something and not like Katile, what you're doing, like what Katile is doing, Katile is now a brand. What Katile is doing is a brand, because important of personal branding is that it builds trust. So for those of us who attended this webinar, we trust now in you. You build our confidence also. Another thing, that's the second important of personal branding. The third important is credibility. It builds credibility and authenticity of what you're doing. Then as a brand, you gain confidence. Katile, now you've gained confidence because now you've people following what you do. Am I clear?
Yes, you are clear. I think that question is answered. So do we have any other question?
Yes, Katile, probably I would want to answer a few questions I saw on the chat. Katile? Ma.
Yes.
Can I answer a few questions that are on the side chat?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the question was how do you handle telephone interviews? And thank you so much for the question. I did not handle that. Yeah. So with the current trend of not working in the office, we've opted to do calls or Zoom calls. And here, one thing you need to know is first, I mentioned you need to have put the right number, telephone number, and where needed be, also provide an alternative number. Provide an alternative number that someone can be reached at. So one, you need to put your contact. Secondly, you need to prepare well. When you hear it's an interview, find a quiet place that is conducive for you to hear what the interviewer is asking you. Sometimes we find it very hard when you're calling someone and they're on their road. Be honest and say, kindly, I'm on the road, kindly give me 30 minutes. It's very important to make your possible employer understand where you are. Find a conducive environment to conduct your interview. Other possible employers will actually do an email and say, we are going to conduct a telephone interview tomorrow at this time. Ensure you put a reminder. Ensure, probably if it's an online meeting like this one, you are at a place where no people are passing behind you. We understand people are working from home, your children are around. Ensure you lock yourself somewhere. If it's internet, ensure the internet is okay. And be audible, be confident, dress as if you're going for an interview, because that is appearance. These are things, make sure you put everything in consideration as if you're in an actual interview. The other question was on, Francis asked, questions that you're not able to answer. They're very personal questions that are not supposed to asked by an employer. And it is important to say, kindly could I pass that? I'm not comfortable answering that. And we know the questions we're not supposed to ask. So if you feel that someone is really getting into your personal space, it is important to say, I'm sorry, kindly excuse me, I can't answer that at this moment. Now, those are the questions you answer when now you have been employed, because at the end of the day, we do not encourage discrimination whatsoever. In terms of pregnancies, those are things that are natural, unless someone is very particular and very, I don't know, but yeah, those are very personal things that someone should answer when they've already been employed and the employer wants to understand the situation you're in. Someone asked for my number. I have already shared. I've already shared that, and then I think if there's anyone who has a question, they can ask.
Maybe just before you go, I would like to also add on the most important skills the employers are looking for at the moment. Maybe we can talk about that kidogo. Employers are looking for emotional intelligence and problem-solving skills. So when you are going for interviews, we can let's work on that. Let's prove that to the employers. Let's use that as some of our skills. Before I forget, I'm hiring male PR executives, and I'll need the CVs as soon as possible. Male PR executives with at least 2 years experience and the bachelor's degree. They can contact me through my Facebook page. JCVs, or I'll share my number. Maybe through Katile.
Thank you, Jairus. I think Kenfrey has a question. Kenfrey, kindly unmute.
Hello, everyone. So, Jairus, there's a compliment I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, I'm getting you.
There's a compliment before before you did the branding, the
Yeah.
branding topic. So there was a point I wanted to pass by. There's when you are hired in a company where whatever you learned or whatever you have studied for, you cannot you can't practice whatever you've acquired through the institution of higher learning.
Your net is not stable. Hello.
So now
maybe you can set again. Your net wasn't stable. Kindly repeat.
My recommendation, or rather what I was saying, can you hear me? Hello?
I
You're
can
getting
hear
me
you
now? Okay, this is what I was saying. Probably you are hired in an institution or in a company whereby you cannot be able to practice whatever you learned in various institutions of higher learning. Now the problem comes. You are dealing with all these kind of maybe all these kind of people. You would find people of the same. You're dealing with people at least who have certain qualifications from various.
We can't hear you again.
Jairus, kindly write your question on the chat. Kindly write your question. Then Katile can actually summarize that for us to answer you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. I think that we'll give 2 minutes for each speaker before Kentry gives the presentation. The question, we'll have 2 minutes for each speaker to give their parting shots. And then after that, we will give the information on good. I think then you can start from your parting shots.
Thank you so much, Katile, for arranging this. You're doing an amazing job just to ensure that we are breaking barriers. I'm humbled to be conducting a session today in regards to interview skills. I hope I was able to highlight things that enabled you to understand the things you were doing wrong, and if you did them right, maybe you learned more things today. I want to encourage someone that all of us who are employed were once unemployed. So your day will come. Be hopeful. Do something about it while you're waiting. Do certificate. Interact with people, connect with people on LinkedIn, in Facebook, with your alumni, ask them, where are you? Kindly, are there job opportunities? Can you refer me? And that's how I got my first job, with an alumni. So connect with people around you. When you're an intern, connect with the people in that organization. Let them remember you, and that's how they will call you back for a job. I'm so happy, I'm excited. Katile, there's a part I left, so whenever you have a session, I will be glad to join, and feel free to reach out. I am here to help you guys get your next job if I can. Thank you so much, and it was nice spending the 1 or 2 hours with you guys, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Diana, for the wonderful presentation, for the wonderful insights. And I just like the way you answered your question. And I'm just like, when I will have my interview, I'll have I love that confidence, and I'll go there knowing much and also about personal branding in interview. And yeah, I've really learned a lot. I hope everyone has learned a lot from Diana's presentation. So with that, thank you so much, Diana, for having time for us. With that, I guess, Jairus, you can give your parting shots.
Yeah, I would like to thank you, Katile, for the opportunity. I would like to thank everyone who's been part of this forum, and I'm really humbled by the opportunity to talk to my fellow job seekers. Personally, I'm in this field. I'm really impacting on job seekers, and I'm available anytime you need me. I operate from town, my law house, 6th floor. You can find me on from 6:15. Any job seekers who need my advice, who needs my input, kindly reach out. In case there's another opportunity, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll always be willing to offer to help whenever I can. I know how it feels not to have a job because I was there and I know it. Thanks so much and have a blessed evening.
Thanks so much, Jairus, for that session.
I can't hear you. Hello.
How does this person say about you? What do you positive make sure you continue doing that thing with passion and
I can't hear you, Katile.
your brand, your Twitter account, your Facebook account, your LinkedIn profile?
Hello. Katile.
My voice. Jeshi sasa. Kwani tuko square.
Hello guys, my name is Rob. I was in charge of the technical side. I've just been informed that I should end the meeting because Katile is no longer available due to network issues. I think before, if there is any other issue before I can end the meeting, maybe maybe the guests can go ahead and raise it before I end the meeting. Thank you. Okay, if there's none, thank you everyone. See you. I think the links and the video will be shared to you via your emails. If you registered to this session, you don't have to worry about it. So thank you very much. Next time.